Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you tonight. Stock markets post their biggest fall in a month. The Sensex loses nearly 800 points. The Nifty down over 200. All sectoral indices end in the red. Adani Group stocks fall, wiping out 1 lakh crore rupees in market capitalization. Hindenburg Research raises concerns over valuation and debt. Also reveals short positions in Adani Group companies. Adani Group accuses Hindenburg of malified intent, calls the charges stale, baseless and discredited. Tata Motors is back in the black, reports its first profit in 2 years. Revenues jump over 22%. The company is cautiously optimistic on demand. Bajaj Auto beats estimates in Q3 EBITDA at a record high thanks to judicious pricing and better dollar realization. Dr. Reddy's beats estimates in Q3 with a profit growth of 76%. Cipla misses the mark even as US sales grow 30% and R&D investments rise by nearly 40%. The government approves the sale of 30 lakh metric tons of wheat in the open market to cool down prices. Governments also say there are no plans to revisit the export ban on wheat before the arrival of the next crop in March. The United States Justice Department, along with 8 states, sue Google for allegedly harming competition and abusing dominant position in the online advertising market, seeks to force Google to break up part of its business. Google terms the allegations unfounded, vows to fight back. Microsoft warns of slower growth in the coming months despite beating estimates in the December quarter. Satya Nadella says new business growth is slowing as customers are looking to save money. Air India announces ESOPs for all employees appointed before January 27, 2022. Employees can buy up to 3% equity at 27 paise per share. United States and Germany all set to send battle tanks to Ukraine as the Russian invasion completes 11 months. Moscow has termed the possible deliveries of tanks by the US as another blatant provocation. And in the final part of our special series, UPI Generation, we analyze the impact of India's homegrown payments platforms. It has resulted in lesser savings for Gen Z and millennials. A special report coming up. A bumper opening day for Shah Rukh Khan's Pathan. More than 5 lakh tickets booked on day one. Can this movie herald a revival for Bollywood? That coming up. Well, not quite a bumper day for the markets today. The stock market saw a sharp sell-off with every sectoral index ending in the red. The Sensex lost nearly 800 points. The Nifty was down over 200 points. Bank stocks taking it on the chin. Mid-caps not spared either. Prashant is standing by to wrap up the day's market action for us. The largest fall that we've seen in a month, Prashant.
Well, it was deep red, the market losing 200 points in the Nifty. And if you're looking for one reason, a dominating driver, I don't think there's one to be found. It was a combination of things. Global cues overnight were poor. The market here has been underperforming global markets all of this year. Perhaps a little bit of nervousness ahead of the budget, which is in the middle of next week. So all of this combined adding to the pressure that we are seeing. Banks were also sold off pretty hard, perhaps more on banks as compared to non-banks. Nifty losses coming through in Adani Ports, and the Adani Group was another sort of pocket of pressure for the market. We'll get to more stocks in a bit. SBI was down, Cipla was down, IndusInd, the HDFC twins were also sharply lower. Bajaj stood out at gain, but the numbers reacting towards the end. The numbers came out for the third quarter. Numbers look good. Lever, Hindalco were the other stocks which were higher. Market breadth was extremely negative, so I'll stick with losses. As I said, the Adani pack came under selling pressure. Adani Wilmar, Transmission, Green, Ambuja Cement, ACC, all seeing some selling. Zomato, United Spirits, Container Corporation, a fair bit of earnings disappointments also resulting to selling. Like, for example, in the case of United Spirits, Indus Tower was another earnings-led reaction. Traxon, the recent IPO, Kiri Industries were some of the other volume-led losses that we saw. The range this year has been 17,800 and 18,200, and today's selling gets us closer to the lower end of the range. The big support for the Nifty comes in around 17,761, which is the low which was made in January earlier. And for the Bank Nifty, it's looking a little more precarious. It did break intraday the December 26th swing low, but we managed to close above it. When we come back day after, I think bulls will hope that these levels are defended with some help, of course, from global markets.
Prashant, many thanks for joining us. And as Prashant was pointing out, shares of the Adani Group came under pressure with 1 lakh crore rupees in market cap being wiped out today. And this after US investment research firm Hindenburg Research revealed short positions and flagged multiple risks. Adani Group has hit back, accusing Hindenburg of malified intent. The short seller Hindenburg said it holds short positions in Adani Group companies through US-traded bonds and non-Indian traded derivative instruments. The report said that 7 listed companies of the Adani Group have an 85% downside on a fundamental basis due to sky-high valuations. Hindenburg also claims that the Adani Group companies have taken on substantial debt, including pledging shares of their inflated stock for loans, putting the entire group, and I quote, in a precarious financial footing. Adani Group has responded to the allegation, saying, and I quote, the report is a malicious combination of selective misinformation and stale, baseless and discredited allegations that have been tested and rejected by India's highest courts, end of quote. Adani has also questioned the timing of the report ahead of the upcoming Adani Enterprises follow-on public offer.
The timing of the report's publication clearly betrays a brazen, malified intention to undermine Adani Group's reputation with the principal objective of damaging the upcoming follow-on public offering from Adani Enterprise, the biggest FPO by a private sector company in India.
Well, that is the Adani Group responding to the Hindenburg report that was out earlier today that knocked the Adani Group stocks lower. In the currency market, the Indian rupee gained ground against the dollar, the rupee ending the day at 81.59 against the greenback, gaining about 13 paise in trade today. And in the commodity market, crude oil prices rising as investors remain optimistic about a recovery in demand from China. On the supply side, major oil producers are expected to keep output steady when they meet next week. Brent trading above $86 a barrel, post a fall that we saw in the previous session. The Indian government sold sovereign green bonds worth 8,000 crore rupees for the first time. The Reserve Bank auctioned 4,000 crore rupees of 5-year bonds at a coupon rate of 7.1% and another 4,000 crore rupees of 10-year bonds at 7.29%. The yield on the green bonds are 5 to 6 basis points below normal government securities. The proceeds will be used for funding public sector projects seeking to reduce carbon emissions. Another auction is scheduled to take place on the 9th of February. So that's the first sovereign green bond auction. On to earnings. Bajaj Auto and Tata Motors both meeting street estimates, in fact bettering them, while judicious pricing and better dollar realization aided Bajaj Auto's margins. Tata Motors back in the black with a quarterly profit after 2 years. Sonia standing by with the earnings fine print. A good quarter for both Tata Motors and Bajaj, Sonia.
Well, thanks a lot for that. 2 good set of numbers that came in from the auto space, one from Tata Motors and the other one from Bajaj Auto. Now, Tata Motors' consolidated numbers were much better than what the street was estimating. It was a revenue growth of 22% that Tata Motors reported, and big profitability improvement. The profits came in at 2,957 crores, much better than what the street was estimating. And compared to a loss last year of 1,500 crores, it's a big turnaround. Now, JLR is the one piece that the street will definitely like. Tata Motors delivered on its plans for JLR and achieved a positive free cash flow and profitability in the quarter as supplies improved. The revenues were 6 billion euros, which was a growth of 28% versus Q3 and 15% sequentially for JLR, while the profit before tax came in at 265 million euros, up from a loss of 9 million euros a year ago. Even the EBIT margin came in at a positive 3.7% versus 1.4% same time last year. If you look at Bajaj Auto, the numbers were much better than what the street was estimating as well. Here too for Bajaj Auto, it was a strong margin beat where the company reported a record high EBITDA in this particular quarter to the tune of 1,776 crores. The margins went up 390 basis points at 19.1%, and it's the second consecutive quarter of margin improvement. The management said that it is judicious pricing, better dollar realizations and a richer product mix that has aided margins. All in all, the auto sector has reported really good numbers this time, beating street estimates, and the fact that lower raw material costs will be a tailwind for them and an improvement in demand is something that could keep the stocks active.
Sonia, many thanks for joining us. And staying with earnings, pharma major Cipla reporting a weak set of numbers for Q3. Consolidated net profit coming in at over 800 crore rupees versus expectations of over 940 crores. Revenues also missing street estimates at over 5,800 crore rupees. Analysts were anticipating revenue to cross 6,200 crore rupees. Cipla's margins in line with expectations, coming in at about 24%. However, if compared to the same quarter last fiscal, the company has seen an all-around improvement in its results. On the other hand, Dr. Reddy's beating estimates in Q3, profit at more than 1,200 crore rupees, above expectations. Profit growth was more than 76%, revenue growth was more than 27%, and margins also above estimates. Now, in a bid to tame wheat prices, the government has approved the sale of 30 lakh metric tons of wheat in the open market. Wheat prices hit a record high earlier this week. Abhimanyu Sharma joins us now with the details. Abhimanyu, what is the government likely to do?
Well, the government has approved the proposal for sale of 30 lakh metric tons of wheat under OMSS to cool down rising prices. Wheat will be sold through traders, state governments, cooperatives and PSUs. Government sources have indicated that there are no plans for now to revisit the export ban on wheat before arrival of the next Rabi crop in March. Sources within the government are of the view that several global developments like a drop in international price of wheat and the bleak projection for wheat futures for the next 6 months are also going to cool prices and reduce chances of speculators from playing truant. Local wheat prices in India could increase by another 5 to 6% if the government does not release food stocks in the next 15 days. Wheat prices are currently 50% more than the MSP of rupees 2,125 per quintal for 22-23 Rabi season. Wheat prices have increased 2% in New Delhi to rupees 31,508 per ton and 7% in Indore to rupees 29,375 per ton. Wheat output in India had fallen to 106.84 million tons in 2022 compared to 109.59 million tons in 2021.
Abhimanyu, many thanks for joining us. The big global story tonight. The U.S. Department of Justice has filed an antitrust lawsuit against Google. The Department of Justice, along with a group of 8 states, have accused the tech giant of abusing its monopoly position in the online advertising market. The lawsuit seeks to force Google to break up parts of its business. This is not the first time that Google has been sued by the U.S. government. In 2020, the Trump administration had accused the company of misusing its dominant position in the online search business.
As alleged in our complaint, for 15 years, Google has pursued a course of anti-competitive conduct that has allowed it to halt the rise of rival technologies, manipulate auction mechanics to insulate itself from competition, and force advertisers and publishers to use its tools. In so doing, Google has engaged in exclusionary conduct to severely weaken, if not destroy, competition in the ad tech industry.
Right, what the DOJ is saying here is that Google has monopolized both the buy side and the sell side of these advertising transactions. And this 153-page filing that the Department of Justice made today, along with 8 U.S. states, it goes back in history, as you just heard Merrick Garland say, to 2008, when Google acquired DoubleClick for $3 billion, and says, essentially, since this time, what Google has been doing is trying to build a moat around its advertising business and control every aspect of that business, even taking financial losses in the short term in order to ensure that it has control over the entire transaction and that advertisers really can't see exactly what's going on inside the black box of its processes. And when you dig into this filing, there's some interesting little nuggets in here, including some conversations that apparently happened inside Google. One of them that they cite here is a Google employee who raises the question inside the company, quote, "Is there a deeper issue with us owning the platform, the exchange, and a huge network? The analogy would be if Goldman or Citibank owned the NYSE." So that's the allegation that the Department of Justice is making here. This was fundamentally anti-competitive. We'll see what Google has to say about that and how long this takes in court to sort it all out. What the Department of Justice wants here is for Google to divest itself of some of these businesses. There were reports last summer that Google made an offer to settle this in order to move some of these ad businesses into another unit inside Alphabet. Those media reports, those offers cited in the media reports, apparently not enough for DOJ. They're moving forward today in this long-awaited case, guys.
Iman, many thanks for joining us. In fact, Google has responded to the lawsuit saying, and I quote, "Today's lawsuit from the Department of Justice attempts to pick winners and losers in the highly competitive advertising tech sector. It largely duplicates an unfounded lawsuit by the Texas Attorney General, much of which was recently dismissed by a federal court." End of quote. And speaking of Google, the company CEO Sundar Pichai announced that top executives will take pay cuts as part of the cost-cutting exercise. A report by Business Insider suggests that all roles above the senior vice president level will see a very significant reduction in their annual bonus. This comes after 12,000 employees were laid off across Alphabet's group companies. Sticking with big tech, Microsoft reporting a lower than expected revenue in the December quarter. The company expects the trend to continue in the next quarter as well. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said the new business growth is slowing down as customers shift to savings mode. Remember, Nadella in his interview to me had said the next 2 years will be challenging for tech. Microsoft services including Outlook, Teams, 365 and Azure are back online after a 4-hour outage. The tech giant said it is rolling back a network change which may have caused the outage. According to the Down Detector, the softwares are working properly after reporting several such incidents around 3 p.m. Time for a break, but coming up next, it's been a bumper opening day for Shah Rukh Khan's Pathaan. More than 5 lakh tickets booked on day one. That and more when we get back.
It's the electric SUV with the fastest acceleration in India. It's the most spacious in the C segment. And it can be yours now. Starts at Rs 15.99 lakhs. Bookings open on 26th January 2023.
अम्यूजमेंट पार्क तो बंद है।
The all-new Slavia. Skoda. Simply clever.
Namaste, bete.
Auntie, we are missing you.
Nice. Look, he's
on his way, I'm sure.
Sorry.
Forget sorry. Show us your gift.
It's right here. It's many birthday gifts in one birthday gift.
Ah, how is that?
LIC's Dhanrekha policy. Guaranteed benefits, money back, full payout on maturity, and premium payment only till half term. Then the missus can plan whatever she wishes. Jewelry shopping, house renovation, holiday.
For that you'll come on time, na?
Guaranteed. LIC Dhanrekha. खुशियों का तोहफा.
It's the electric SUV with the fastest acceleration in India. It's the most spacious in the C segment. And it can be yours now. Starts at Rs 15.99 lakhs. Bookings open on 26th January 2023.
Well, shares of Bharat Electronics under pressure this after Norway's Norges Bank announced it was excluding the company from its $1.3 trillion sovereign wealth fund. The exclusion followed Bharat Electronics' sale of weapons to the military in Myanmar. Norges Bank said it was an unacceptable risk that the company is selling weapons to a state that uses these weapons in ways that constitute serious and systematic breaches of the international rules on the conduct of hostilities. Star Health Insurance's plans to foray into the life insurance business. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 the company is looking to apply for a composite insurance license with the insurance regulator, the IRDA. The consortium of 16 lenders led by State Bank of India have approved the one-time settlement of outstanding dues for Religare Finvest. The NBFC arm of Religare Enterprises owes over 5,000 crore rupees to lenders and is set to pay over 2,000 crores to them as part of the plan within 90 days. The settlement of dues clears the deck for the NBFC to exit from the corrective action plan imposed by the RBI. Air India has announced ESOPs for all employees appointed before Jan 27th, 2022. Now, as per the scheme, employees can buy up to 3% equity at 27 paise per share. Madhiya joins us now with more. Madhiya, take us through the details of the ESOP plan.
Well, Air India employees have been waiting for this announcement for very long. The move was being anticipated after the privatization of the airline, where the government had mandated that Tatas provide shares to the employees. So as per the scheme, all permanent employees of Air India and Air India Express who were appointed before 27th January 2022 will be eligible to avail shares under this scheme. Tatas will keep 3% of equity aside, which translates into 97.9 crore shares for employees, and all eligible employees can avail these shares at 27 paise per share, plus they will also have to bear the stamp duty cost and other applicable charges. The scheme is not limited to just existing employees. Those who have retired after 27 January 2022 will also be deemed eligible for this scheme. And employees availing shares under the scheme shall also receive dividend if and when declared like any other shareholder.
All right, Madhya, many thanks for joining us. Now, India's homegrown digital payment platform is going places quite literally. From France to UK to Belgium, Singapore and UAE, the Unified Payments Interface, or UPI network, has been expanded to over 10 nations. And more are on the anvil. For India's Gen Z and millennials, these platforms have brought freedom and ease in financial transactions, big and small. As part of our ongoing series, the UPI generation, CNBC-TV18 polled a cross-section of users from these two generations to understand whether this freedom and ease has resulted in lesser savings. Radhika Das has the answers.
Scan a QR code, enter the amount, type in a PIN, and hey presto, the money's gone from your account. This, simplistically put, is the USP of the digital payments revolution that's sweeping the nation. But this has meant that many users have begun to rely less on cash withdrawals from ATMs or bank tellers, and anecdotally, this may have made keeping track of bank balances just a little tougher. According to CNBC-TV18's poll, 75% of young India, which uses online payment apps for daily financial transactions, say they have to frequently check their bank balances to keep track of how much they've spent and how much money they still have available. Over 16% say they're unable to keep track, while a little over 4% use manual spreadsheets, accounting ledgers, and third-party apps to track their spending patterns. But here, there's a split between millennials and Gen Z. While 51% of Gen Z says tracking expenses has become tougher, a larger 56% of millennials say it has not.
When we are splitting money, I know that my friends are just going to transfer it to my GPay. I just have to give the number or just scan a code. So it's just very convenient.
I've been savings have just become zero because it is so easy to go for online shopping. Definitely UPI helps me to keep track, and cash doesn't, because I can keep track of like every single penny I've spent. But with UPI, we indulge a lot. We don't feel like we've spent.
I think it has impacted my savings. I could manage better with cash at the same time because I am spending a lot more due to that.
At least when you don't have money in your wallet, you're like, okay, I can do without this because I have no other way of getting this object. But with UPI, you can get anything, anywhere, so you just spend and splurge like crazy.
But a majority of both groups say there has not been any significant change to their savings because of digital platforms. 48% among Gen Z and 42% among millennials.
When you are spending on a credit card, you get a message that this is your balance left, this is your outstanding with every transaction. With UPI, the balance left kind of message is not there. The thing is that UPI is being used more prevalently, but internet banking and looking at the bank statements is not that prevalent. So therefore, there could be a mismatch between the two. With financial literacy going up and the adoption going up, it should not be a very big challenge.
While 2022 has been a solid year of the growth of UPI-led payments in India, the coming year is going to be defining for its capability to cross borders for services, introduce newer mandates to sustain its relevance, and identify existing and potential challenges. In Mumbai, Radhika Das.
Shah Rukh Khan, John Abraham, Deepika Padukone star Pathaan has taken a bumper opening at the box office. The film marks Shah Rukh's return to the silver screen in a full-fledged role after a hiatus of 4 years. His films over the last 7 years have underperformed at the box office, but Pathaan could well be a turning point in the veteran superstar's career. That's not all. The movie could go a long way in reviving the Hindi film industry's box office fortunes. Zinia Baria captures the euphoria among SRK fans.
From Jamshedpur to Jodhpur, from Bhopal to Bhubaneswar, SRK fans have bought out entire theatres in celebration of the Badshah of Bollywood's latest release, Pathaan. we are surrounded by special Pathan t-shirts, giant posters and merch of all kinds as fans descend on theatres. Here in Mumbai, huge banners and cutouts of SRK celebrations with crackers and colour bombs have been a precursor to the moment fans get to see King Khan on the big screen once again.
अपनी कुर्सी की पेटी बहुत जोरों से बांधी है, तो मौसम कुछ भी हो जाए, बिगाड़ देंगे.
There are growing hopes in Bollywood circles that Shah Rukh Khan's much-anticipated movie after a 4-year break will help fill in theatres and multiplexes this week with the Republic Day holiday followed by the weekend. Movie critics anticipate a strong showing given that more than 4 lakh tickets have already been sold out. Pathan's projected budget is said to be around 250 crores. The makers expect the box office collection of 600 crores worldwide. These numbers are clearly big numbers and only SRK can give such a crackling start to the new year.
ये हम लोग की सेकंड शो की टिकट है और ये हम लोग की लास्ट शो की टिकट है, तो इसके बाद हम लोग सेकंड शो रिपीट करेंगे एंड देन उसके बाद थर्ड शो रिपीट करेंगे. मूवी इतनी क्लासी है जिसकी कोई वो नहीं, लिमिट्स ही नहीं है, तो हम लोग 2-3 शो कंटिन्यू और रिपीट करने वाले.
For SRK fans, Pathan delivers and delivers big. It's the absolute paisa vasool entertainer they've been craving for 4 years. For the Hindi film industry, the sense of relief is palpable. King Khan is back, and so are the theatre audiences. In Mumbai, Zenia Shahrukh Baria.
Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. The news continues here on CNBC-TV18. Here's wishing all our viewers a very happy Republic Day.